but still.
Now we've started. Okay, no more dirty jokes from last week. All right, so we're truly starting 24th show of this encoding overload according to my computer or whatever. Once again here, Charles and Andrew.
Hello.
The Kobe Bryant episode, number 24, and we got lots to talk about. NFL draft mainly, I guess, and NBA first round of the playoffs. And Stanley Cup playoffs, of course. Players of the week for baseball, and I don't know, what else?
We're going to try and accelerate through things really quick. And we also apologize. There's a bit kind of... I think one of our computers is being noisy or whatever, so we're getting a lot of feedback from it. So you're just going to have to deal with it because we are not a highly organized, well-paid, well-funded organization. It's just three lawyers or almost lawyers.
My computer's about to explode, so...
Yeah, Francisco's computer is about to explode, so if we can make it through this episode unscathed, or at least alive, then that'll be a plus.
Okay.
All right, so should we go ahead and get this started?
I think...
You wanted me to take lead this week, so I will go ahead and do that.
Yeah, because I am woefully unprepared.
It's been a long week for Francisco. Anyway, so we have two NHL games on tap tonight. We have the Boston Bruins against the Columbus Blue Jackets in Boston. They are in the middle of the first period right now. We also have San Jose, Colorado, and they are slated to begin at, I believe, 10:30 tonight. Over in the NBA, we have Milwaukee and Boston, and Golden State against Houston. And we're going to discuss that game one a little bit more tonight because much controversy.
It's mainly because James Harden has gotten away with a ton of leeway with officiating, and now the playoffs have started, and they knew this series. This is essentially the Western Conference Finals to most people. So they kind of knew. The refs kind of went into this knowing that they're going to have to try and be as even as possible with regards to the series, because it could very much well determine who the Western Conference champion is, even though it's not the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
They are the favorites. It's either one or the other.
Right. You could say that the Western Conference likely runs through the winner of this series. And then in Major League Baseball, another a full slate of games. All 30 teams are playing, although two games have been postponed. The Baltimore and Chicago White Sox game was postponed, and the Tampa Bay Kansas City game has been postponed. Now, without further ado, let's head over to the NBA. First series we're going to discuss is Milwaukee-Boston. Milwaukee currently has a 1-0 lead over Boston in the series.
It's actually Boston. That has a 1-0 lead.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had it in my notes. I
yeah.
just glossed over it. Boston, the Celtics, the Irish team, I guess, has a 1-0 lead in the series over the male deer.
Right.
So you gentlemen, please discuss.
Because
I know absolutely nothing about the NBA. All I know is that Giannis, I'm not even going to try it, his last name is a beast of a player. To quote a YouTuber that I watch, QJB, he's the beast from the East.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly, said beast from East, his team is down 1-0. And I don't know. I'll let you guys take it from there.
Okay. So I guess I'm coming out pretty staticky with regards to my mic. Is that right, Charles?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why.
Do you want to share mics this evening?
Let's see. How about now? Is that better?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. So I'll try and contain myself.
My guess is it has to do with the fact that he's near the nearly exploding computer and I'm not.
And I can kind of move away from it right now. So, all right. So I think what we're seeing is the fact that the Boston Celtics are finally hitting their stride. after what many people would say was a disappointing regular season, but maybe, just maybe, it was all in preparation for this moment.
One shining moment.
Exactly.
Sorry, wrong level of sport, but still, I had to get that one in there.
So I think Brad Stevens has finally got his rotation set with regards to I think he's got kind of like an 8-man rotation going instead of a 9-man rotation, and it's worked to a T against the Celtics. They were able to force Giannis.
You mean the Bucks?
The Celtics against the Bucks, yes, and I think they were able to get Giannis Antetokounmpo to make a ton of errors and mistakes, forcing him to essentially neutralizing him in that entire game, in which completely took the Milwaukee Bucks out of their game. I don't know what did you see any of the game, Charles?
Yeah, I saw a good amount of it. Typically the first rounds of the playoffs are always kind of snooze fest, so you always get excited for the second round. And this one kind of went a little bit what I was predicting. We've talked about it on the show in the past, where I felt that don't take the Celtics seeding number as a determination of how good they're going to be. The whole season was just to figure out how Gordon Hayward is going to play out. And right now they have him basically as a hot bench scorer, sometimes starter, coming in play. But what stuck out is what I expected, because typically for Mike Budenholzer teams, when they come out 60 wins and like little bit of losses, they always suffer from being great in the first series, being slightly above average in the next series, and if they somehow make it, which is possible with this schedule, because rumors, they end up becoming like pure average against what the conference team is, because we saw that when they were when he had the first seed Falcon, or not Falcons, I'm sorry, I think Atlanta, the first seed Hawks. But I'm not necessarily surprised by one game, and I tell that to people as one game, because look what happened when it was Philadelphia and Toronto, one game, and then Philly came back with a little bit of a vengeance to win out. What surprised me, and I think what Milwaukee fans and bettors need to be afraid of, is just how the big play guys who have big money contracts didn't show up for them. And their game against Boston, Bledsoe looked uncomfortable. He didn't shoot that well. Bear with me as I get the scoreboard out so I can actually dissect it and poo-poo on certain people that I do so well.
Hello to all your moms out there. I want you.
Things are going as the basketball gods planned when they wanted the quote-unquote best teams to move on to the next round.
So essentially
that's typical,
right? No, this is the whole first round is kind of like other than that Thunder Blazers series, everybody was, or actually not the Thunder Blazers, but the Nuggets and the Spurs. Other than that, the rest of the series, well, people thought the Thunder Blazers game would be, or series would be a lot more competitive than it was, but the NBA is typically the first round is like, okay, they'll get those teams out of the way, and then we'll see. Even though the 3-4 matchup usually is the or the 4-5 matchup, sorry, is usually the more competitive of all the matchups, but I think it's kind of scary what the Celtics are doing right now as they're figuring it out. So we'll see how the Bucks adjust to that. As far as the more interesting side is the Western Conference, where we saw the.
Do you want to quickly discuss the other Eastern Conference matchup, or is that boring and don't want to discuss it?
I mean,
we can touch upon it.
Yeah. What do you think, Charles? I mean,
rock paper scissors shoot.
Exactly.
So. Here's the thing, Andrew. The Toronto Raptors, to give you way of background, they were the top Eastern team last year for the majority of the season, and then got swept by the Cavaliers.
That's happened the past couple of seasons, right? They've always been good on paper, and then they completely blow it in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. So what happens is they fire Dwayne Casey, hire Nick Nurse from within. They trade away DeMar DeRozan. They pick up Kawhi Leonard. They pick up Marc Gasol as insurance. Trade away Jonas Valanciunas on the idea of reshaping on one last ride for a true chance to make it. Because it's Toronto. They have a bad tendency to get free agents. And their play has been pretty consistent, pretty darn good. They got the second seed this season, and they could possibly walk into the finals. There'll be some bumps along the way, but they have a better match. But this is going to be more of a slugfest fight that comes in versus what a lot of people are expecting. You want the Philadelphia 76ers to actually put up a good match against Toronto, because Philly is the one, if we thought that the Toronto Raptors were doing the whole like last chance Charlie kind of situation, trading away a star player for another star player who might be leaving at the end of the season. Philadelphia is doing the panic button because now they got this eclectic starting five that they traded mid-season. Because you got to remember, two of their starters they traded mid-season for, in Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris, and it hasn't really been meshing well. You guys have known my position since I jumped on that I think Jimmy Butler is a very good player, but I think he's trying to get paid on the overrate scale.
Right.
Tobias Harris fits better, but there's a lot more sense of panic and fear that comes in. That's what kind of makes this a little bit juicy, because there's this. I hated the process. Everybody knows I hated the process. I don't believe that you should tank that badly in 3 years. And the problem is the NBA rewards tanking beyond belief. Because the NFL, rewards tanking, but you have dudes tanking and then just taking these lottery picks, and the odds, and I feel like there's some conspiracy of how they can always get these first round picks and none of them pan out except for like two guys. So there's some juicy drama, because if the Toronto Raptors go further, what happens with Kawhi Leonard? Does he contemplate staying in Canada? Oh, Canada, maple syrup galore? Or does does the 76ers win and show that the process didn't work out, but trading away half the people that they got during the process helps them? Because what happens, I think the implications are grand, because what happens is if like the 76ers get bounced quickly, I think that could be Brett Brown's job. And I understand, Charles, you're jumping to the conclusion, like, well, now you've got him 2 seasons, see what he can really make up with the roster, and it's not good enough. It could mean Jimmy Butler doesn't want to play. It could mean that it could be Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Tobias Harris, because who knows what's going on in J.J. Redick. There's a lot of people who flaunt players, and because he's just midget Kyle Korver, and they'll flaunt picks at them to take him. And Elton Brand, it's your first year as a GM, but in the NBA, first years aren't safe. Go look at Igor Korsakov, Mr. sounding like a Death Eater from Harry Potter. So there is good, juicy drama in those games. The matches aren't going to be sexy because these two teams suffer from a big problem. For Toronto Raptors, it's like we're really going to try to funnel the offense through Kawhi, and then when it becomes our bench plays out, everybody tries to shoot, and maybe not you make it. And the bigger problem with the 76ers, and you saw this in the Brooklyn game, is that there's too many bad shots taken. Jimmy Butler, if you give this a 7-game series, I can guarantee you there'll be 3 or 4 games of shooting stuff he shouldn't shoot, but he's forcing it because he has to prove himself, right? So it's online money. To be 29 years old, this is really your only chance now to get a mega contract. The CBA was different 4 years ago when you signed that extension. And then Joel Embiid, the first game against the Brooklyn Nets when they got blown out, he was just chucking up threes that weren't really that contested. He's missing it. Play your position, man. So that, everybody's looking on the outside in, because it's going to be, hey, Brett Brown, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you mesh it? Can you control? Because if not, we're going to get rid of you. I think that might be the most fun Eastern Conference series in a while compared to Boston-Milwaukee, because here's the thing. If Boston wins their series, it was expected, right? That's all we told ourselves, because last year, they're only like the second, third seed. Because
I kind of agree with you that, because the implications for those two teams, the Sixers and the Raptors, they've kind of put all their eggs in these baskets, the Raptors with Kawhi and the Sixers with the process, and it could all fall apart with the end of the series. Like either the Celtics or the Bucks, either way, they'll be fine for next season, whoever wins that series. But for those two teams, it's really their future. If they can't make it past this series or make it past Boston or Milwaukee on the other side, then it's going to get really... It's going to be really bad for those teams.
What's the harm that happens to Milwaukee if they lose? They say second year it's going to be our year, and that's fair and point.
Right, this was their breakout season.
Yeah, yeah, you can make Giannis a lockdown player and get him a big contract. You can decide how to shift around your depth a little bit. For Boston, okay, so let's be real here. If Kyrie doesn't want to stay, then you just pay Terry Rozier, who's going to get overpaid elsewhere. He is. He really is. So you just keep him in line to a fairly acceptable contract, and you run kind of the same guys without trading away Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. But if Kyrie leaves, maybe you say, hey, Anthony Davis, what up, homie?
I mean, they've got the assets for it, and they might, especially if things don't really plan out for them. Or they make it to the finals and they think, oh, this could put us over the top.
Whereas it's different with the Raptors, because this goes back to the intrigue, Andrew, is that the Raptors can go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They can even go to the NBA Finals. And even if they win it, they still might not be able to retain the most valuable free agent in the market.
Right. Well, if they win it, I think it would be worth – this whole thing would be worth it. They could just lose
Kawhi Leonard you're mentioning?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
If they make it and win it, then, even the Kawhi trade, it's justified. They can have a banner there, it'd be next to all those ancient Leafs cups over there. But, but yeah, the Raptors really have to win it all, or this is all moot. Yeah, exactly. When they have to try and develop a new star or something like that, and you know how long it took them to get out of Chris Bosh's wake after he left.
Right. This almost kind of reminds me of what happened to the Lightning. This was the year to win, and we just blew it because we're going to be losing a lot of star players this year because everyone's going to be asking for more money, and deservedly so. They've played incredibly. So you can't, this is it. A lot of these guys are going to be leaving. Anyway, let's move on to the Western Conference. First, we'll start with Golden State and Houston. Like I said, there was a bit of controversy the other night in the Game 1. I was watching a little bit of the Inside the NBA, a little snippet. By the way, I love the EJ's Nito stat of the night. That thing is amazing. Anywho, they were talking about how there were 4 fouls that were missed, or 5 fouls that were missed. There were 5 fouls that were not called, 4 of which they believed were missed. And the 5th one was basically Harden flopping. He moved himself into, I think it was Klay Thompson, moved him into Klay Thompson's path and started falling by himself to draw the foul.
Right.
So, what do you guys think? And how will this impact tonight's game, which, as I heard, a referee who has kind of a love-hate relationship, I guess you could call it, with at least Houston is going to be officiating tonight.
Okay, so, I mean, first off, Chris Paul, some people think he should have been suspended for at least tonight's game.
Yep.
But I think the NBA doesn't want any more controversy with regards to this matchup between the Warriors and the Rockets, so they're just not gonna do it. And even though it would probably add to the narrative of Chris Paul not being able to be there for the big game with regards to either injury or suspension. So, anyways, as far as I think it's been sort of fair at this point. I think James Harden got away with way too much stuff this season, to the point that the Rockets got used to it, and now they're finding ways to complain and to try and blame everything on the officiating. I don't know. I think Adam Silver has to kind of stop them from creating this sort of narrative, because this is what they're doing. They're going out into the media. They're trying to say this. They're saying that we've conducted studies on the officiating from last season and from this season, and trying to get everybody on their side with regards to that. But in the end, it doesn't matter when they're on the court. That doesn't matter. I think they're just trying to find a way to sway the refs in some sort of manner to give them some sort of edge over the Warriors, who just continue to keep doing what they're doing. Even though this is probably the most vulnerable they've been in this whole run that they've had, as they're not the same team. Curry and Klay Thompson are a bit banged up. Draymond Green is still doing all right, but not as well as he could be, and they're feeding everything to Kevin Durant. And of course they lost DeMarcus Cousins, which was a huge blow to them. But I think the Rockets just need to find. I think they should just shut up, to be honest. I don't know. What do you think, Charles?
All right, I got 3 points to make on the series. First and foremost, Daryl Morey, if you see the milk is spilt and you do nothing to clean it up, it's going to smell up in the house. And that's essentially what you're doing when you're going to say, well, we did an audit. We did this and this and this. It doesn't matter. Because the basis of their audit was from last year's Game 7. First off, they
missed like 4 billion threes, which,
Exactly. I'm never going to feel sympathetic for a team that doesn't know how to finish the job. You aim for the head because the body dies, right? To quote a certain Greg Williams, for those who don't know, NFL Bountygate, who said something similar to that equation. Your team is the one let back in. Just way I didn't have any sympathy for the Golden State Warriors when LeBron and the Cavaliers came back and there was issues about Draymond. If you're in the opportunity to close it and you don't close, you don't get any. Coffee is for closers, son, and you guys aren't that. What was their issue in Game 7? Because it's excuses. It's okay. There was the fouls that weren't called, and then Chris Paul was injured. If we had Chris Paul, we would have won. Well, Chris Paul's been injured since like 2008, man. You know what you're getting insurance. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is I would love it if the ref said, you know what? We're not calling fouls at all this game because this feels like 2 teams who hate each other.
Basically, just like in hockey, they just swallow the whistles.
Exactly. The issue I find funny is that none of these guys are physical dudes. Like, they don't scare me. I mean, they scare me. I wouldn't mess with them. But, it's not like kind of bad boys, Pistons, Chicago Bulls. Like, they'll throw down. You're not going to get a Malice in the Palace. What you're going to do is get a very flamboyant kind of aggression. So, you know what? Take away the fouls and let's see if we get some fisticuffs. Let's see if someone can knock off the beard of Harden. What I really translate is like, you know what? Because what can the NBA do? The referees are going to call more fouls. But you know what? We're not, as a big message of NBA head, I'm going to say, listen, don't let these teams influence you because they're always in stress. So if it's a close call, don't call it, right? So let them get kind of chippy. Let them go from there. That's what I like basketball for. And then for playoffs in basketball. And then furthermore, see what happens to the Rockets and James Harden's game if they don't get foul calls, because that man's whole basis of a game is shooting threes and getting the free throw line. I'll tell you right now, he's a better free throw shooter than he is a three-point shooter. The last game that they had in the first matchup, the guy went to the line 14 times, missed one. But let's look at the other statistics and let's see why you really lost the game, James. You shot 9 for 28. You shot 4 of 16 at threes.
Right.
You got 35 points, but it's nothing. I saw James Harden play live when I was in Carolina against the Hornets. The man was terrible for 3 quarters, but he only turned it back on at the final quarter because him, Clint Capella, and then Eric Gordon were able to get something going. And then, of course, it's the Charlotte Hornets, so they suck. So they just kind of fell down that cliff strong. If you lose, you're not going to lose because there was any refereeing officiating problems. You're going to lose because Golden State took better shots. And mind you, there was a lot of dudes off their game. Steph Curry went 5 of 12, 3 of 10 at three-pointers. Klay Thompson was that great. But you know who was good enough to carry them? Kevin Durant, who has the best shot selection on the floor for that entire team. They're not running the gun because the problem with Houston is they're going to do 2 things. Harden's going to get the rebound or call for the ball after the rebound. Going to run up, stop at the three-point line, and just chuck it. Chuck it like it doesn't matter. The guy should play football and really been a quarterback. Or he's going to try to get the foul because they play under this illusion of a fast-paced 7 seconds or less full-court offense, but they're tired, man. They're gassed.
I mean, that's what I'm expecting the Harden to do tonight is basically take less threes and try and go more hard into the paint to draw more fouls and get there. So, I mean, that's
the name.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I feel that he's going to try and do today just to get, I guess, something going for the Rockets and also get himself to the free throw line.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because you got to understand, at the end of the day, I hate his game per se of just getting the 3-point line because it seems to me that, or get the free throws, because it seems to me that
it's too easy.
Can't competitively it's too easy, but it's a higher learning, is that you can't beat somebody on a one-on-one coverage. To get open, to shoot the shots. He doesn't have like a great fadeaway. He's not Dirk Nowitzki. I think if you put a little skin on him, he'll flail out. And even though his stats are amazing, there's a reason why you have 35 points a game, because you're either shooting him all the time, you're finding a way. But on the other side,
so James Harden is the type of guy that like if he's playing Super Smash Brothers, he can only beat you with all items on, smash balls, high, whatever. He can't beat you one-on-one on Final Destination with no items and nothing, Can't
do it on random. And look, I'm not going to disrespect it, because at the end of the day, points win, like everything else, especially in the NBA. But I don't want to hear this crybaby BS. And then the third and final point that I had towards the thing, which is very, very small, this really feels like whoever wins this is getting the big ticket championship. And that's why it makes this line slightly better than the Western Conference, because I think in the heart of hearts for the Rockets, one, they're seeing the window close, because how much more can Chris Paul really go before you cut him? Because he'll play for a while, but do you want to pay that max money? And then two, it's just like, man, we see that competition. We're not scared of Toronto, Milwaukee. We're not scared. We pray that we get, Philadelphia, because they don't play well with the starting five together, so they're all discombobulated. And then you give us Boston, that's fine. Half of your guys are going to freak out because they wouldn't know what to do in the postseason. So let's see what happens. So, you talk about urgency and the panic button for the 76ers. There's like the mega one for Houston. More so for Houston than Golden State, because you have to ask yourself, too, why do guys get fired in the NBA or any other sports if they keep seeing the same team over and over again in the finals or in the playoffs? Is because you just can't make it, man.
Right.
The industry, the establishment, they're gonna lose faith in you and then get rid of you. This is Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni couldn't get over the hump in Phoenix, gone. Mike D'Antoni couldn't deal with his ego in the New York Knicks, gone. He couldn't handle in LA, gone. He folds, man. He folds like me at 5 shots on Cinco de Mayo with tequila. It's over. Guess what my non-sponsor is going to be?
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so
that's my thought.
Yeah, the final series. I saw some of the Blazers Nuggets game. Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of pulling for the Blazers, because I'd love to see Dame Lillard at least play for the Western Conference title, which in a sense would be, that would essentially be almost like being in the finals because of how good the West has been. He's just the type of guy that definitely put Russell Westbrook to shame with the way he carried the Blazers to that victory on that final game of that series. Say what you will as to what Paul George said about the shot. The dude made it. It's a good shot when he makes it,
It was fantastic.
So
the best playoff shot I've seen.
And his reaction that's part of our image for our thumbnail is just it's almost not a non-reaction, actually, with regards to the way he conducted himself after hitting that shot. That was just great. And then he had that amazing quote on his, that he tweeted or something, I guess something about the person who's, I guess, better is the one who, remains calm throughout this insanity, while it's the person who's yelling and shouting all that stuff, which I'm assuming he's talking about Russell Westbrook, who is a very loud human being. With regard, he doesn't have to talk, just the way he can, even his clothes are loud,
That's true.
So Dame Lillard, great. I saw 40 versions of that shot from different angles in the crowd.
I want to ask
his
you guys,
sister's one is great.
I have a question about that for both of you. Do you think he traveled?
No.
Personally, I saw 3 steps without him dribbling. They were very close, and it was a shuffle almost, but I saw 3 steps without him dribbling. It's obviously a moot point.
Not the most
now.
Egregious. If it was, it wouldn't be the most egregious.
Oh, no, it's absolutely not.
Because everybody travels. Just like everybody holds in the NFL, everybody travels.
Right.
It's just whether or not you catch it.
Exactly, and I think it's kind of loosened a lot lately. It's not as strict as it used to be. So,
but he was also doing a step back, so
that's
really
the thing.
Fine line,
right? Exactly.
It was like a step backside. It was kind of like to the side, but also slightly back. He was going southeast.
But even then, I don't think nobody really made a big deal about that.
I know,
So-
but I don't know. I saw it and I figured I'd get your opinions on it. All right, so NBA talk concluded.
I think so. I mean, I'm as far as predictions are concerned, I still think the Warriors are gonna pop through, and I can't really tell between the Nuggets and the Blazers, to be honest. But I guess
It's a bunch of blue collar guys.
exactly. So, and then with regards to the East, I'm hoping Milwaukee can get through, but they're already losing 12-5 right now to Boston. So
It's only the first quarter.
I know, but hey, you never know. I mean, once they get that momentum, they get the momentum. And if they take 2 from Milwaukee on the road, I think it's over.
Well, we'll see. Charles, or you have a couple of other series to make predictions.
Philly and Toronto. I'm going to say Toronto
All right, how about you, Charles?
because I think they're still a more cohesive team than Philly.
Golden State wins third year in a row. Going to go against Toronto. Toronto's going to fold. Kawhi Leonard's going to leave. Everything else is just in between.
And KD will sign with the New York Knicks.
The
I
next
don't
chapter.
understand.
My next
Who
chapter.
knows? Don't be surprised if someone is fired throughout this postseason. There's rumors of Billy Donovan expected to return as coach, but until you get a contract extension, you're in a lame duck year. So you know what that means? Bam. You know who's not getting fired? The Big Papa, Greg Popovich, getting a 3-year deal.
Of
Gonna
course.
Right off in the sunset.
Sheesh. The Spurs almost won that series. So
They did.
Yeah. So okay.
All right, let's move
the
on.
Jackets are up 1-0 on the Bruins.
All right.
And as far as the Stanley Cup playoffs are concerned, I mean, we can go to it if you want to.
All right, we'll just touch on it quickly since we have about 45 minutes left in this episode, unless you want to run over.
Okay.
I feel we may need to since this is a bit of a
Maybe.
deep week.
We'll see. Okay. So I mean, I don't know what you want to do the thing, because we're kind of at the halfway point.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and do it. Cue that slide, Francisco.
All right.
We are at our
Yay.
non-sponsors of the week.
Our favorite segment every week.
Charles, you want to get us started?
Not sponsor. Yeah, let's always do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, everybody in the great United States has their identity and their culture, but ethnicity, race, what have you. But come a certain day in May, a certain Cinco de Mayo, we all become a little, is it PR to say Mexican-y? Even if that's appropriate? Just as
I'll
how
allow
I'm
it.
Irish,
I'll allow
just
it.
how I'm Irish on March 17th for St. Patty's Day, we have ourselves a nice little day of celebration of the dead and having fun. Or it's not Day of the Dead, whatever. I don't know what it is. All I know is Cinco de Mayo is
It's
my
like
excuse
something
to
about
kind of-
France or something like that. I have no idea.
Exactly.
Bastille Day?
It's like Bastille Day.
Yeah.
Bastille
it's
Day
my-
is kind of
No. It's something about like Mexico freeing themselves from like a French invasion. I don't know.
something.
Something weird.
I'll
It's
research
not
that
their
my own
Independence
time.
Day or anything, but whatever. Okay.
But typically, every person I ever met, every person I ever gone out with on Cinco de Mayo Day means one thing: tequila shots and tacos, baby. So my non-sponsored sponsor of the week is basically the only kind of tequila I'll drink, Patron. So as I tell everybody, if you're under the age of 21, do not drink, do not touch a single bit of it. I don't want to have to see you in court. Sorry. If you're over the age of 21, drink responsibly. Yes, Patron is expensive. We understand that. That's why you don't buy the damn whole bottle. You just get the little mini bottles at your ABC Liquors for like $15. And you get it as a gift for your friends and family. And you have a good time. And you celebrate being something other than yourself. It's the only Patron that I take, or the only tequila that I have that doesn't really burn my insides because it's clear. Never touch the gold stuff, let me tell you. And you get a little loose. You get a little brave. It is the purest definition of liquid courage, or it can help you get the sleep and you get really, really hungry. So my non-sponsored sponsors is Patron Tequila, and my promo code would be how do I want to do this one? Basically Mayo. There you go.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Francisco, on to you. You said you had a very good one.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so yesterday I had the wonderful pleasure of going to the airport, and everybody loves the airport, right?
Woo! Especially, let me guess, it was Miami International.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Anyways,
That is a beautifully organized airport. I highly recommend that you go. In all serious note, just fly in through Fort Lauderdale International and drive down. It makes your life so much easier. It's not even funny.
Okay, so I had the wonderful pleasure of going to the airport around, let's see, I woke up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I had a flight that was at 6:30 or so. No, I woke up at 4 or something a.m. in the morning because I woke up early. Anyways, I drive to the airport. I park my car. I had plans of going to Atlanta for work and to come back the very same night. So I get to the airport. The line is long. I don't know why people are trying to go. Who wakes up on a Monday morning to travel? I don't know. I did, but that's because I had to work. These people are like doing it on vacation and stuff. Who does that? People are stupid. Anyways, going through TSA, whatever. The line is long, but it's moving. They're moving it along. I'm passing through the scanner thing. Beep. Sir, you've been randomly selected for what this BS, this bullshit, this stupid security theater that they do, because I watched Adam Ruins Everything, Adam Conover. You should follow him on Twitter. He actually blew up the entire thing TSA does, because all their stuff is just bullshit. Everything they do is bullshit. TSA sucks. They're not my non-sponsor. They're my anti-non-sponsor. TSA sucks. They're just trying to force you to get to TSA pre-check and all that stuff. That's why they suck so much. They're trying to get you to do that, set up for it. Who cares? Anyways, I missed my flight. I'm waiting there for about 20 minutes for a guy to come out of his office to open the little extra scanny thingy that they have that make you lift your arms and all that crap. And I passed through in 10 seconds. And I'm like, you got to be... Okay, and I missed my flight to Atlanta. The next flight is full, so I can't get on that. I missed my court date. I call the court, whatever. It's fine. They reschedule me. But it still sucks. And I don't care. The feds can go screw themselves. TSA sucks. Anyways, so my whole day is just terrible. I tweet about it on Twitter because I have to. I have to tweet TSA's actual handle and say that they suck. And I did. Delta Airlines couldn't do anything for me, so they can screw themselves as well.
I gotta say, that's a very bold strategy to call out the TSA on Twitter.
Oh no, I will. They can. I didn't do anything wrong. They suck. They know they suck.
As I was telling Charles, we have probably about 15 seconds now before the feds break in and arrest you.
Anyways, Delta Airlines couldn't do anything. They said, whatever, non-refundable. Who cares? Okay, whatever. But American Airlines, good old American Airlines. They've got their name plastered on my favorite basketball team's arena.
For those that don't know, the Miami Heat's arena is called the American.
It's much better than the American Airlines Center. I'll tell you that much, right?
That's the one in Dallas for the Dallas Stars / Dallas Mavericks. Mm-hmm. The American Airlines Arena, also known locally as the AAA,
right,
is where the Miami Heat play, and
right,
that's about it.
Right. So, American Airlines sends me a DM. Yo, we'd like to help you out. You can get your money back and all that stuff. And, we were sorry that you had to go through all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, American Airlines. They didn't have to do it. I mean, the tickets are non-refundable. I mean, it's clearly, in the plain language of the ticket and all that stuff. I knew they didn't have to do it, but they did it anyways. So kudos to their social media team, to American Airlines. I tweeted that out as well. A shout out to them for helping me with TSA's bullshit. And I actually posted that as well. And they gave me my money back, and I'm just shouting out to American Airlines. I know people complain about airlines all the time. And as far as all the traveling I've done since I started working and all that stuff, American Airlines has been the best airline so far that I've been on. Their planes are typically on time. Their planes are typically clean. Typically have power at the very least, so I can plug in my stuff and my Switch and play Super Smash Brothers on the plane. So yeah, promo code TSA sucks.
Alrighty. So far we have a shout out to Patron and to American Airlines. I will conclude. This is going to be a very interesting one because this is not an organization. This is not a business. It is a road.
Okay.
specifically, and it is the much maligned Chrome Avenue.
Okay. Oh no, I've been to Chrome many a time, dude.
I had to drive up to Weston, Country Road. So I had to drive up last week to Weston to umpire a baseball game. For those that don't know the area, Weston is about 40, in good traffic, about 30 to 35 minutes north of Miami proper. And that's in good traffic. Unfortunately, when I have to leave my house to go to these games, which start at around 7 o'clock, it's the heart, it's the heat, it's in dead center of bumper-to-bumper rush hour traffic. So my GPS says, hey, you're going to take this road out in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know this was Chrome Avenue at the time. I had to look it up just before the show. And bear in mind, I did it in daylight, so I've heard that most of the incidents happen at night since it's not a very well-lit road. But Chrome Avenue is basically right at the eastern edge of the Everglades. You are more or less driving in the Everglades.
Right. You reach the end, or like if you go on Calle Ocho, you go all the way down, you'll reach Miccosukee country.
Yep. And then if you continue on Calle Ocho, a.k.a. 8th Street, a.k.a. Tamiami Trail,
you'll get to Naples.
If you just drive west on that for 2 hours, you'll hit the other side of the state, and you'll hit around the Fort Myers area. But again, not well lit. Highly recommend not driving that at night or in the early morning because you're not going to see anything, and you are in the dead center of the Everglades. Anyway, so I drove up Chrome Avenue. It was gorgeous. It was flat as far as you could see, but you got to see this is true Florida. This is Florida untouched by man. It was quite beautiful. I had a fun time driving it. There were no stoplights or anything. It's just basically a straight shot up north, and you can go pretty fast. So yeah, my non-sponsor of the week is Chrome Avenue. Keyword Everglades. Why not? That's a good promo code right there. So anyway, so today we had the alcoholic beverage Patron, the airline American Airlines, and a road.
Okay, alrighty. So that's the end of that. That's so okay. I guess we'll have to talk the NFL draft because it was the biggest thing that happened over the weekend.
And I think we're not going to have a lot of time to dive into it, so we may go over it again in another episode since it's 7 rounds, 255
And people
picks.
are still dissecting it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Players are still now getting to know their teams with workouts and things like that. And, of course, big trades that happened as well, including my team, the Dolphins, doing something. I think they actually might have done something right.
I know. So let me just start off with a few of the big headlines. The first big head scratcher really was the New York Giants. As Urinating Tree calls them, they are football's derp team. Or
the big derp.
The big derp.
Right.
Or
some people I've heard on sports radio, people are describing them as blundering buffoons.
Very nice. That's
and even those that didn't even like the pick or that weren't too upset about the pick were thinking, why at 6? But go ahead, who do they pick?
So they picked quarterback Daniel Jones from Duke University. The Giants had an opportunity to take Josh Allen, who I forget his position. Here it is. He is an offensive lineman.
Different Josh Allen, by the way.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, Josh Allen, there was a Josh Allen last year picked at number 7.
Right.
There was a Josh Allen picked this year at number 7. As far as I can tell, this is the first time that 2 players with the same name have been drafted in consecutive years at the same spot in the draft.
I wonder if John Boyes will make a video about that.
Maybe. He could make that like an hour-long thing.
Right.
He'll find a way.
Yeah, NFL draft gear solid, the twin Josh Allens.
I mean, if he could make a 40-minute video, just part one of a 2-part series about Bob's, he can find anything and make a huge epic video about it. So anyway, Daniel Jones, he was not even, according to ESPN, he was the 6th ranked player just at his position and was the 59th overall player in the draft. He was picked number 6.
According to the Giants, they really wanted him. Like that was like their guy.
I know. Everyone was saying that if they liked him so much, he was not on anybody else's radar until at least the 2nd round. So they definitely could have waited to pick him up later. But apparently they just wanted to go for it.
And they had 2 first-round picks. They picked at 17 as well.
Yeah, they had the 17th and took Dexter Lawrence, defensive tackle from Clemson, which was a slightly more understandable pick because Dexter Lawrence, minus the whole illegal substance controversy, he's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
That's to be decided.
Illegal substances, that's not that big of a deal. Now, if your guy's an environmentalist, then that might be a huge problem, you know? Alluding to something we'll be talking about later.
So, anywho, Daniel Jones, everyone thought, Giants fans thought, Josh Allen would have been the guy to go there. Or if they decided to draft a quarterback of the future to replace the aging Eli Manning, who, I don't know, he's not long for the league. He's getting old.
I mean, there was, I saw somebody on YouTube break down Eli Manning's last few seasons, and honestly, it kind of turned my opinion around on him, that he wasn't, his lack of production or just what it seems like his decline isn't entirely on him aging that such. It's just basically the Giants being a horribly run franchise at this point.
I can see that.
And if you've seen the SB Nation video of Collapse, you can kind of see what the Giants have done to themselves. They've been shooting themselves in the foot for so long, since they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they have not done well since, I think, 2011 was kind of the beginning of the end.
They had one breakout season in 2016, but even then, there were issues.
Right.
So, and it's not entirely his fault.
Even still,
once again, we can get away from the derp.
Exactly. But even if he's unless he's Tom Brady, who is, I think, part cyborg at this point, the fact that he's still playing into his 40s at such a high level. Eli Manning is going on his 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Like 13th.
I think this will be like his 15th or 16th season coming up. He's getting up there. If he came out of school at 22... that means he's approaching 37. Again, I don't have any of this info up, so I may or may not be right. He's getting up there. They need someone to learn from him and eventually succeed him as the Giants quarterback. So people thought either they could bolster their defense with Josh Allen, who eventually went to the Jaguars on the next pick. I'm sure they were surprised and took him as soon as they figured that out. Or if they wanted to go the QB route, they could have gone with Dwayne Haskins of Ohio State. Lee Corso thought he was going to go number 1 overall, which went to Kyler Murray eventually, and that'll set up where we need to go in a second, what you're talking about. A few other notables. That was kind of the big controversy, if you will. Another couple of notables. The University of Nebraska broke a 56-year streak of having at least one player drafted. There were no Nebraska players drafted this year, breaking that streak. Also, University of Tennessee did not have anyone drafted, and I believe, I think it's 3 out of the last 5 years that's happened. I had it up here somewhere. Couple of other things. I happen to know quite a good deal about this since my UCF Knights played both these teams. All three of these teams got steals on some of these players from the teams that we played. Ed Oliver, who played for Houston, he was actually a Heisman hopeful at one point this year, but no defensive player has won in ever, I think. Or not in ever, but in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive tackle from Houston. He is a beast and a half. And he fell to 8th, picked up by the Buffalo Bills. Also, who else did I mention? Darrell Henderson from University of Memphis. He went pretty low. He gave us a lot of trouble in the games we played. I forget who picked him up, but whoever picked him up, they've got a great player, running back of the future. Same thing goes with Devin Singletary from FAU. Gave us a lot of trouble. We were eventually able to contain him because of good defensive adjustments from Randy Shannon, who's our defensive coordinator. But still, he was also a Heisman hopeful. He had a hell of a season. And he also, with the right training, mentor, he is going to do things in the NFL. One other thing of note, Old Dominion had their first ever player drafted in the NFL draft, O'Shane Ximenes. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He was drafted, I believe, in the 3rd round. And that's a bit of history right there. So I'll scoot forward to something that Francisco knows quite about, and that is the whole Josh Rosen saga.
I mean, Josh Rosen is now a Miami Dolphin.
Just as a, I guess if I can give some background here. So Kyler Murray was drafted who's a quarterback and won the 2018 Heisman. He was drafted number 1 overall by the Arizona Cardinals.
Another Oklahoma quarterback.
Oh, that's another thing. 2 years in a row that a Heisman-winning quarterback from Oklahoma has been drafted number 1. Last year was Baker Mayfield, who is now with the Cleveland Browns. So, Kyler Murray was drafted number 1 because Arizona's new head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, loves him. That is apparently perfect for his high-tempo spread offense. He just came in from Texas Tech. That was his previous employer.
Right.
So you had this situation. Arizona drafted Josh Rosen last year.
And Kingsbury has wanted Kyler Murray since he was in high school.
Right. So Arizona drafted, oh my God, Charles, really?
Okay.
Fair question.
Anyway, moving on from that, so you had this interesting situation where Kyler Murray comes in number 1. He's obviously the favorite of Cliff Kingsbury. And then you have Josh Rosen, who was drafted just the year prior. What is Arizona going to do? Arizona trades him to Miami. And I'll let Francisco, the resident Miami Dolphin fan, take over.
I've heard all types of perspectives so far as the trade is concerned. Miami Dolphins fans are completely delusional. I can tell you that much. As the hardcore of the hardcoreiest, people are saying, "Oh, why did we waste a second round pick on him?" Well, just think of it as we just picked Josh Rosen in the second round of this year's draft. Just think of it that way. Plus his signing bonus and all that stuff. The Arizona Cardinals have already paid for it. He's signed for 3 years at $2 million per year. So the Dolphins are getting him for a steal at this point. And the Dolphins are in no position whatsoever to have any sort of standards at QB. I mean, we dealt with the personification of toast in Ryan Tannehill for the last decade.
That's something that set this whole thing up because Tannehill was traded earlier.
Right, he was traded to Charles's beloved Titans.
And that was a few months ago.
If you love toast, Charles, you're going to love Ryan Tannehill. Okay.
Can't have it without a little bacon.
No, he is a plain toast, dude. No bacon, no butter, no nothing, dude. All right, it's not even toasted. It's just a piece of white bread.
Gentlemen, understand this. I will take Ryan Tannehill and his little toasty self for the 4 games that Mariota's going to be injured because it is better than Blaine Gabbert.
Okay, well, we all can agree on that, right?
It's the same logic of you guys trading a low second-round pick to get somebody who may or may not have to start one day because Fitzmagic can't throw and he can't run.
Okay, I mean, we got Josh Rosen, and now he's here. He's gonna at some point beat out Ryan Fitzpatrick with the Fitzpatrick and his giant beard and his dad bod. God, man, it makes you think that you could play in the NFL when you look at him like that. But then he's flings an 80-yard pass, and it's like, okay, I can't do that. But then he throws 40 interceptions, and you think, well, I can do that. That's for sure. Okay, but I'm okay with it. I don't see any sort of there's really nothing to lose for the Dolphins. I mean, the team is expected to be horrible this season. If Josh Rosen can lift this team to 6-7 wins, that actually might be a plus because this team is expected to win like about 3 to 5 games. Mm-hmm. Then there's the tank for Tua side of the equation, which is kind of the thing most people are thinking the Dolphins are expecting to do is tank for either Tua or whoever they can get in the next class of quarterbacks, which is supposedly going to be better, but I don't really care about that. I just care that we have a guy who's young. He has a chip on his shoulder, that's for sure.
I know. Even before he was traded, I think it was the day before the NFL draft, he unfollowed Arizona on all of his social media accounts.
And who cares? I mean, I unfollowed the TSA, so that's just the thing that you do, all right? When you're pissed off at something, I unfollowed Sonic the Hedgehog as well, because that is an atrocity. And Steve Smith being petty, even though he cried. Yeah, exactly. Steve Smith is, but whatever. He's just a crazy guy. He's like that. He's freaking. I watch all of Eastbound and Down. He's kind of like one of those guys that was on the show at the end in the final season, on the Sports Sesh or whatever. That's basically Steve Smith. Anyways, I'm okay with the trade. Dolphins fans who have an issue with it, I don't know if you guys have seen the last 20 years of our franchise history, but since Dan Marino retired, but I'm pretty darn sure this isn't the worst thing that's ever happened, and it actually might turn out to go well. We actually have a guy who can, gunsling. We actually have a guy who looks like he cares, who won't be coddled like Ryan Tannehill was, who actually, and the local beat writers here making an issue about Josh Rosen's personality and all that stuff, even though his former teammates from Arizona all came to his defense, saying that he's a good teammate and all this jazz. Honestly, it doesn't matter. If the guy's an asshole, I don't care. If he can win some games, that's great. I mean, a lot of people said the 97 Marlins were full of a bunch of, guys who were kind of douchey to each other. But even then, things came out that they weren't really like that. But even then, I would take a bunch of assholes who can win than Ryan Tannehill, who was supposedly a good guy and all that stuff, but didn't really connect with his teammates and all that stuff, and he was a piece of toast. So I mean, you can't have a piece of toast there. He can't move in the pocket. Toast can't move in the pocket. If you put a piece of toast on grass, it won't move. So we have a guy who actually wasn't a wide receiver as a quarterback as well.
True. I totally forgot. Tannehill was a wide receiver at Texas A&M.
Exactly. So we have a guy who's been a quarterback basically his entire life, his entire career, played at UCLA, all this other stuff, cares about the environment, cares about if the state of Miami sinks into the ocean or not. Okay, so we essentially have Al Gore as a quarterback, which is great. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm happy. We'll hunt down Man Bear Peg, and I'm good. Okay, so I like this, and Dolphins fans, just chill out. We're gonna suck anyways. The Patriots are gonna be better than us. Tom Brady is still alive, and until that guy retires, we're not gonna be doing anything.
Your division is basically locked up.
Wait until Tom Brady retires.
Right.
And even then, Bill Belichick might be able to spin some magic.
Right. I'm thoroughly convinced he made a deal with the devil or something, just like Nick Saban.
Oh no, I think the entire city of Boston has, and
true.
that's why I'm glad the Blue Jackets are up against the Bruins right now. I think it's 2-0, as far as I know, and the Boston Celtics need to lose at all costs. So the Milwaukee Bucks better get their freaking act together, and the Boston Red Sox better. I mean, they're winning right now, but I'm actually for the Yankees or the Rays, either one of those two, to beat out the Red Sox. By the way, Charles, the Yankees are being decimated by injuries, yet still keep winning.
Yeah, and actually, I think that's a good segue.
We're on a mission from God, gentlemen.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
true.
I don't know what the hell is going on over there.
The reason I bring, or the reason I say segue is because we can go quickly to the players of the week in the major leagues.
Right.
The AL player of the week is none other than Luke Voigt, who is the first baseman for the Yanks. This is his second player of the week. His first came last year, over this past week, which ended, I believe, on Sunday. Yeah, it ended on Sunday. He had a .433 batting average, a .528 on-base percentage, and 867 slugging percentage, which included 4 home runs and 10 RBI. That's a hell of a week right there. Going over to, or any analysis, gentlemen, on that one?
Real quickly, I'll just talk about how he is a gift from God in a sense that, because I believe he was backing up Greg Bird, and Greg Bird is often injured prospect that we've been trying to work with as our first baseman long time. It's just not happening. So we get high voltage. Can we make that pun? Coming in here.
Oh, man.
And I'm doing it. Trademark right now. Yanks.
He's going to be selling that T-shirt outside of Yankee Stadium.
Oh, you know he will.
Tell me you can't see this. Instead of the pinstripes, you have like the pinstripes with little lightning lines. I got to have this. He's just been accurate. He's connecting. He's playing good in all fields of the game, and I think he's going to be the only man we have left because DJ LeMahieu, I can't say his name,
LeMahieu
isn't going. Yeah, so he's another guy that we have picked up as a utility and also in a different spot. But Voigt is bringing the voidage, so you better watch out.
Okay, who's the NL Player of the Week?
NL Player of the Week is Eduardo Escobar, third baseman for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Over the past week, he hit .480 with a 1.573 on. I think it's on base plus slugging.
Yeah,
on base plus slugging percentage. He had 3 home runs, 3 triples, 2 doubles, and 8 RBI. Any analysis there?
I mean, who does he play for?
Diamondbacks.
Oh, Arizona. Well, the Diamondbacks have been surprisingly in the hunt with regards to the West, the NL West. Not really. I mean, he plays for Arizona, thus there's really nothing I could say. I don't really follow them. I don't really see them. I'm like, hey, good week, dude. At least he wasn't Christian Yelich, making me feel more horrible for that trade. By the way, Lewis Brinson was optioned to AAA.
Yes.
So he was one of the key pieces, one of the 3 players or I think it was 4 players, but in that trade for Christian Yelich. He was the local guy, and he's been struggling. Don Mattingly has had him batting 8th in the lineup, which is not good for any young player. So I'm glad he's going back down, can work out his kinks. But the other pieces of that trade are actually doing really well in the minors. So hopefully they don't rush them up to the big league so they can have their hopes crushed in front of nobody at Marlins Park. I can do that because my team is horrible.
We know.
And we're losing 6-4 to the Indians right now.
Rematch of the '97 World Series right there.
Yeah.
And just very quickly, Chris Davis watch. Ever since his first hit, I believe, April 13th was when he broke his slump. He has been tearing up opposing batting. He has a .320 batting average, a .333 on base percentage, and a .621 slugging, I think. I
mean, either way, they're light years better than what he was doing before.
Which was literally nothing. I don't know. I can maybe update us next week on that, but
Yeah, we'll see how he's doing now. He's actually. I was looking on Twitter. There were some like MVP chants.
Right.
Red Sox fans were getting into it.
I will say for sure, he may not be MVP, but he is definitely the front runner for comeback player of the year.
If he can have even just a legitimately solid season, he doesn't have to hit 50 home runs like he did before or anything like that, but he hits about 25 to 30 home runs and has like a maybe above 250 batting average and, maybe 100 RBIs or so. I don't know. Anything like that. He could be, I would vote for him if I had a vote.
So do you want to move quickly to the NHL playoffs?
Yeah. It's 2-1 now. Boston has scored. That's unfortunate.
So that's the Columbus-Boston series.
Right. So
that one is currently tied 1-1. And they are in Boston.
They're
in
Columbus. Yeah, they're in Columbus, and it's very crucial that the Jackets can take both of their games out there because I'd be more comfortable with them going into Boston for Game 5 up 3-1 rather than tied at 2-2 or vice versa.
Right.
3-1.
They have to defend home ice here.
Right.
Because let's say they win the 2 in Columbus. They go in.
And they allowed that goal with about 20 seconds left for the
sucks.
second, so it's even
In
more gut wrenching. Yeah, the second.
Yeah, that
it's
sucks.
about to end.
Those always suck. So yeah, if they can have a 3-1 series lead going back to Boston, I think they're in a good place because even if they lose Game 5, they still have Game 6 at home.
Right.
And I will say, just by virtue of that gigantic cannon, they have great home ice advantage.
Speaking of home ice advantage and lack thereof, the New York Islanders.
That is true. Let's discuss that really quick. As I discovered last week, and actually someone on the Discord server for Reddit College Hockey gave us a shout out. It was actually BU, our regular viewer, BU, Mr. Canada, pointed out that we had discussed this last week, that home ice for the New York Islanders shifted back to Brooklyn for the remainder of the playoffs.
Right.
The first round was in Long Island at the Nassau Coliseum.
Right.
They have a significantly better record there. The fans are much better.
Their fan base is there.
Their fan base is there. So they essentially shot themselves in the foot contractually by saying that they have to play the remainder of the playoffs. It's basically neutral ice at that point.
Right. The atmosphere is completely different. Even though it's a bigger arena.
It's a terrible venue for hockey.
Exactly.
It was not designed for hockey.
Originally, it was supposed to be designed for hockey, but then they cut costs because, Brooklyn Nets. They somehow still the second banana compared to the Knicks, which is hard to think of. And they're in a better position so far, unless they get KD out in New York. But that's an aside. Either way, they play at the Barclays Center, which is a basketball arena that shoehorned a hockey rink onto it.
And the result of that is the sight lines are terrible.
But more, it's the fact that their fan base is out east, on the island, Long Island. Brooklyn is technically on the island, but it's
hence the
New
name
York
Islanders.
City. And the venue is not designed for hockey. The ice is not the same. The ice is actually terrible.
It's universally derided
and
by
the reason
players.
why is because of they did not use steel pipes to freeze the ice. They used plastic pipes because, once again, Brooklyn Nets, just cutting costs and whatever. Either way, it's neutralized them. They've neutered their actual home ice advantage. The Hurricanes have now have a 2-0 lead heading back to Raleigh, where the fans have gone absolutely nuts for them now.
Exactly.
Because
the jerks. That I gotta say, the whole, what is it called? Was it Storm Surge?
The Storm Surge, yeah.
Storm Surge. That has been like a a shot of adrenaline into that team, into that fan base.
It is basically like what happened to the Panthers with 2016 with the Spacey in space thing,
right?
Bear
in mind the Spacey. Just
that was
a disclaimer.
Before all the stuff happened. Okay.
That's our disclaimer here.
And they took it down from their Den of Honor, which they kind of like their Hall of Fame thing.
Yeah, they took that stuff
all
down.
All of it's done. Kevin Spacey does not exist in the Panthers timeline now.
But
they retconned him.
Right. But back when it was a thing, I
still have the sweatshirt, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's somewhere, but I haven't busted it out in a long time for obvious reasons.
Anyways, let's be honest, it was a gimmick.
I mean, this is all gimmicks, but I'm happy that the Hurricanes have done this.
Yes.
I'm happy that I'm hoping they come out of the East now. They took out my pick for the Eastern Conference and for the whole league, actually, in the Washington Capitals.
And that was a hell of a series. That one went to Game 7.
The only team to win on the road in that series.
Exactly. It was Game 7 double overtime.
In D.C.
Against
the defending champions.
If that is not a storybook ending to that series, I don't know what is. The heavily favored Stanley Cup defending champions losing.
It was the perfect cap to the first round of the playoffs for the NHL.
It was a cap to the Caps.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's that series. I'm hoping the Canes win that series and move on to the finals, even the Stanley Cup finals, actually.
Yeah, that would be great.
Then we've got the West Series. The Blues won last night in Dallas, going up 2-1. Dirk Nowitzki was there, so was Ezekiel Elliott. So they got to see that, and maybe they caused him bad luck. So Dirk needs to leave. Okay, it's 2006 Dirk, not 2011 Dirk.
Yeah, it seems like they're almost like Drake for Toronto.
Mavs fans are still pissed off at Dwayne Wade for that 2006 series.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Anyways, so
that series is 2-1 St. Louis.
It's a good series, though. It's a really good series. The Blues really stuck it to the Stars last night, but I think this is gonna go all the way because the teams are pretty evenly matched there, and they faced each other all season long because they're in the same division. Then you've got the other series. 1-1 between the Stars and the Avalanche. The Sharks and the Avalanche, I'm sorry. And I'm rooting for the Sharks.
Me too. And here's the reason why. Joe Thornton. Period.
Basically, all those guys on the Sharks that have been there for so long.
Patrick Marleau.
Well, Marleau's no longer there.
Right.
He went to Toronto.
Right.
But you still got guys like Erik Karlsson. You know, he hasn't been there forever. This is his only season here. And he's a free agent after this.
Really?
So, I don't know if it's like a Kawhi Leonard situation, but I think he's enjoying himself out there in San Jose. Yeah. Anything's better than Ottawa.
Right, that's true. Especially after what one of the wives of one of his former teammates did.
That teammate is Mike Hoffman of the Florida Panthers, who had a fantastic season with us, by the way, and no wives were threatening to kill each other's babies.
Oh, yes.
Or happy that babies were dying.
Yeah,
this has taken a turn.
That was not exactly a great moment in hockey history.
Anyways,
Colorado, San Jose tied 1-1. I believe they're playing this evening.
Right. They're playing tonight. First game out in Denver, so we'll see what happens there. It's actually really fun to watch playoff anything in Denver right now. It must be really fun. Haven't felt that in a while.
I think both teams play in the Pepsi Center or whatever it's called.
Right. They both share the arena. Both teams are Seth Jones, defenseman for the Columbus Blue Jackets. His dad was an NBA player. Oh. And the reason he got into hockey was because when his dad was playing for the Nuggets, they would watch Avalanche games. He met Patrick Waugh and Joe Sakic and all those guys, and then he just fell in love.
I can absolutely see that. That core from 96 through 03 was dominant. They may have only just won 2 cups, but still, that was a very dominant team for better part of a decade.
Right.
All right, so we're done with hockey. I know we're kind of speeding through things.
6 minutes left.
We're going to end at 9?
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to end at 9. All right.
Let's see. Is there any Fulmer Cup things?
Yeah, actually there are. If you want to pull up that wonderfully
It is
designed
up.
site.
And
Excellent.
once again, we are not the official podcast of the Fulmer Cup. We are just, guys who like to look at stuff. And, even though our esteemed Andrew is now
Don't say it.
Okay.
Or, you know what? Say it. What the hell?
I mean, it doesn't really affect you. You're still a very responsible individual, and it's a good thing. I mean, you are a moderator
That is correct.
at RCFB, so but he does not use his power to self-promote, because that's a no-no constantly on Reddit, as I have learned, because I've been banned by many a community for doing so.
No, I try to avoid it. I do avoid it. But whatever.
If people stumble upon it, they stumble upon us.
Exactly. So anywho, first arrest that I want to cover is, and I'm guessing at the pronunciation here, Rajon Wright of Nichols State
I was about to say Rajon Rondo.
Rajon Wright of Nichols State University. He is...
Wait, Nickel State?
Nichols.
Oh, okay.
N-I-C...
What team are they?
H-O-O-L-S. State.
What team are they?
If you look that up, I'll get on with it.
Cool.
He's defensive back for Nichols State. He was arrested for drug possession, marijuana, and possession of burglary tools. In specific, said burglary tools are a 9mm pistol, an AK-style rifle, an AR-style rifle, a 22 caliber rifle, spent shell casings, 100 rounds of ammunition, ski masks, gloves, and a crowbar.
Okay. Nichols State University is in...
I think it's in Louisiana.
Thibodaux, like Tom Thibodeau, Louisiana, and they are the... I think they are the Colonels. Yeah, they are the Colonels, and their colors are red and gray.
Well, he was possessing weapons like he was going to war. Oh boy, that's a lot of weaponry. But funny enough, the Chief Gerald Sticker, I'm assuming he's with the local police in Mandeville, Louisiana, said, quote, "With everything we saw, these individuals weren't going to choir practice. There is some wrongdoing at some level." So that's a great quote right there. Other two arrests are, I'm going to butcher these because I do not know how to pronounce them at all, and I couldn't find anything on the internet showing how to pronounce them. Both players from Washington State University up in Pullman, Washington. We have Faave, linebacker, and Christian Hangana, who is an offensive lineman. They were arrested for second-degree malicious mischief.
Malicious mischief.
Malicious mischief.
I like the alliteration.
And specifically, what they were doing was... Sounds like a stripper name. It's kind of like a misdemeanor from the Loaded Weapon parody movie.
Okay.
Highly recommend you watch that. These are felony charges. What happened was there was a report on Saturday that people were jumping on cars at the Cougar Ridge Apartments on College Hill. A witness said they followed the suspects who drove away from the scene. Eventually, they were arrested. Second-degree malicious mischief means that the damage they allegedly caused exceeded $750. Allegedly dented the hoods and busted windows of a Mercedes SUV and sedan.
Okay.
So, fun stuff right there.
All right.
Washington State is now on the board.
Okay. So that's it?
Yeah, that's it for our Fulmer Cup update.
Okay. I think we're...
Should we end it here?
Yeah, I think we're at the end of the show. I mean, we got through most of our topics.
Yeah,
that we
I'd
wanted
say
to
so.
Talk about, at least the stuff we wanted to hit on. Next week, hopefully I'll be more prepared. But I have Hall of Famer I want to talk about. I have a minor league team I want to go through as well. But anyways, thank you, Andrew, for leading, for being the point guard for today.
Of course, I've always wanted to be a point guard. I play point guard on NBA games because I like the kind of playmaker style of play, and it was fun getting to lead the show for once.
Charles sends me a horrendous vision of Sonic the Hedgehog and his horrible teeth, and we'll be talking about that next week because I have thoughts. That's part of our off topic.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you guys can look for it on Twitter, and you guys can bask in the nightmare fuel that is the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and our beloved Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that you're not gonna go see that.
Not unless I get tickets for free.
Oh, he's gonna see it. He's just lying.
I will be seeing Detective Pikachu when that comes out.
Yeah.
Damn right.
If only for the free Pokemon card they give you.
Oh yeah. So that's it, guys. Take care.
Good night.
Gotta go fast.